So, do you disagree with the special counsel Mueller's conclusion in his report, Mr. Taibbi, that the Trump campaign knew about Russia's interference, they welcomed it, and they used it for their benefit? You have no reason to disagree with that, don't you? You have no information. So after that foreign interference in our 2016 election, Twitter and other social media companies naturally wanted to work with the intelligence community to stop Vladimir Putin from interfering in our elections again. Mr. Taibbi, do you think it's a legitimate pursuit of the FBI to try to stop foreign interference in our elections?
Again, sir, will I be allowed to answer this question, or?
It's a yes or no question.
That was New York Congressman Dan Goldman in a heated exchange with writer and Elon Musk henchman Matt Taibbi. Taibbi was in Washington trying to make the case that Democrats are secretly working with social media companies to censor Republicans. It didn't go well.
I'm not asking how. I'm saying, as an objective, do you think it's a legitimate objective of the FBI to stop foreign interference in our elections?
I think it's a legitimate objective to stop actual foreign interference.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what the difference is, but that's fine.
Taibbi actually spent most of his time backtracking and struggling to clarify what his complaints even were. And that really shouldn't surprise you. He was the special guest of Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, a guy who never knows what he's talking about.
Are you trying to say that the FBI had no basis to inform social media companies about efforts to potentially interfere in our elections after 2016?
I can tell you that I read internal Twitter emails where Twitter expressly talked about the fact that the FBI couldn't possibly know more than they did about whether or not there was Russian interference, and that in fact, even they couldn't determine which accounts were actually IRA and which ones weren't.
Okay, I understand you like to filibuster. That was not an answer to my question. But I'll move on.
In fact, despite spending weeks reading through a selection of Twitter internal emails chosen by Elon Musk himself, Taibbi still doesn't seem quite clear about what he's alleging anyone did wrong. And at times, even Taibbi seemed to get himself spun around, like this amazing moment.
Sir, did you have any conditions?
The condition was that we published
Sir,
on
did you
Twitter.
have any conditions, yes or no? A simple question.
Yes.
All right, could you tell us what conditions those were?
The conditions were an attribution, sources at Twitter, and that we break any news on Twitter.
But you didn't break it on Twitter. Did you send the file that you released today to Twitter first?
That was an insanely long pause. I mean, cartoonish. And you can actually see the wheels turning in Matt's head as he realized he may have just committed some light perjury. And it was around this point that things got a little bit shouty.
If you're telling me you can't answer because it's your source, well then the only logical conclusion is that he is in fact your source.
Well, you're free to conclude that.
Well, sir, I just don't understand. You can't have it both ways, but let's move on because
No, he can. He's a journalist.
No, he can't, because either Musk is the source and he can't talk about it, or Musk is not the source. And if Musk is not the source, then he can discuss
No one
his
has yielded. The gentlelady's out of order. You don't get to speak.
She's out of
The
order
gentlelady is
because
not
he's
recognized. The
interrupted.
gentlelady's not
Mr. Chairman,
recognized.
You're not recognized,
my
Mr.
time.
He has not
Mr.
said
Chairman,
that.
I don't.
What he has said is he's not going to
Chairman,
reveal his source, and the
I
fact
did
that
not yield
Democrats
my
are
time
pressuring
to
him
the
to do
chairman
so
or
is
the
such a
We're not.
violation
We're
of the
asking
First
him
Amendment.
about his conversations with Musk.
Jordan spent a good portion of Thursday's hearing trying his best to run interference for his dumb witnesses. Also in attendance was Michael Schellenberger, another Republican witness who believes Democrats are feeding a secret global regime of censorship. But remember, these jokers are under oath, so as ridiculous as they want to be, they're also risking jail time for telling knowing lies. And things got pretty humorous when Congressman Goldman quizzed Schellenberger about the rigor of Schellenberger's fact-checking.
You said in your Twitter files, am I correct, that every single fact in the New York Post story was accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall that the first paragraph of that Post story said that then Vice President Joe Biden pressured Ukraine to fire its prosecutor general because he was investigating Burisma, where Hunter Biden was on the board?
Yes.
Schellenberger doesn't see the trap Goldman just laid for him yet, but hang on, it's coming.
I have here, which I'd like to enter into the record, the Trump-Ukraine Impeachment Inquiry Report, 300 pages by the House Intelligence Committee. Did you review this report before you said that every fact in this story was accurate?
Without objection, the material be entered into the record.
Did I read that before I wrote the Twitter files? No.
Is it starting to seem like Republicans maybe don't have the best experts at this? In fact, it really looks like Schellenberger and Taibbi rolled out of bed right into a congressional hearing without even skimming the materials they claim to be experts on. Whoops. And there's a good reason why none of these Republican witnesses can keep their story straight, because for the most part, they've been making it up as they go. Remember, this is a story with its origins in the minds of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Did you expect it to make a lot of sense? Jim Jordan wanted a circus of a hearing, but it didn't quite end up being the circus he wanted. Instead of blanketing the headlines with salacious stories about government censorship, Jordan got a hearing full of Democrats dismantling right-wing conspiracies. It was Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett who summarized all of this chaos best. In comments directed right at Jim Jordan, Plaskett argued the American people aren't fooled by Republican lies like this.
Mr. Chairman, Americans can see through this. Musk is helping you out politically, and you're going out of your way to promote and protect him and to praise him for his work. This isn't just a matter of what data was given to these so-called journalists before us now. There are many legitimate questions about where Musk got the financing to buy Twitter. We know for a fact that foreign countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and possibly even Russia and China are investors presently in Twitter.
Republican conspiracy theories keep getting dumber, and yet the party is trapped by its own need to keep pumping this trash out for their base. Democrats made a powerful stand in Congress on Thursday. They'll need to do a lot more of that if they want to put these conspiracy theories to bed for good. And speaking of upsetting things, Kenosha killer Kyle Rittenhouse is back on TV, and he's wondering if you can spare a few bucks. Check out this video to learn how crybaby Kyle got himself into this mess.